How did you feel leading up to your stroke?
I felt like I had a cold.
Like achy?
And then I walked into the bathroom, and I fell against the wall, and all of a sudden went numb, and I said, damn, and I shook my hand, and it started going up my shoulder, and by the time I realized what happened, it just went pow.
This is Raymond. He is 64 years old, a retired Marine, and served in Vietnam. On September 12, 2012, he suffered an ischemic stroke.
I was waiting for you to come out of the bedroom, and you were not coming out as quickly as usual for when we go to the mainland. And I went in, and you were slumped against the sink in the bathroom. I tried to help you onto the bed, but I couldn't because you were too heavy, and you kept saying, "Sss, sss, sss," but I was being thick and not getting it. So I called Dory, and Dory said, what's going on? And I said that you had said the day before that you weren't feeling particularly well. And you hadn't felt well on Tuesday either, because you were supposed to go to Rockland with me and you didn't. And then you hadn't felt well on the 11th, and you said you'd felt sick to your stomach and stuff. So anyway, so I called Dory, told her all this. She said something's going on. She said, I'm going to get the ambulance and we'll be up. They life flighted him out of here, and they were going to take him to Bangor, and they took him to Bangor and gave him the clot buster.
Thrombolytic drugs stimulate the proteins in the body which naturally dissolve clots. This drug must be administered within 3 hours of the first sign of a stroke. Raymond's clot was located in the back of his head. While in the hospital, Raymond had an MRI and a CT scan done. Both of these help doctors determine what damage has been done to a victim's brain.
Well, I was going to say, one of the interesting things when we first got to the hospital, and when we first got there, he couldn't talk. And that was maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon. 9 o'clock, I guess the clot buster was really getting going or whatever, and he could talk, and they would ask him a series of questions. And then they asked who I was, and he said, that's Patsy. And then the next day when we went in, they asked again who I was, and he said, Patricia J. Lannon, and they looked at me. I said, well, that's my real name.
There it is.
And so that threw them off, because he'd gone from remembering my nickname to remembering my whole name.
A stroke occurs when blood is deprived from a person's brain due to a clot which has formed in an artery. As a result, tissue in the brain can become damaged or die completely. A very common side effect of a stroke is memory loss.
I did not know any of this shit until they got me out of the hospital about 2 days later.
So you're just like hazy through the entire hospital?
I didn't know a darn thing that was going on. I'd wake up. I remember flying in the helicopter to where, I don't know. I don't remember Bangor at all. I don't remember Portland at all. I remember somewhat the trip from the hospital, I guess it was,
to the rehab.
And then I pretty dopey, and I was in rehab about 3 days before I even come to. And then I didn't feel nothing. I might as well not have a stroke. The doctors, I was willing to try anything to get better fast, and I forgot I was dancing around. I was in a wheelchair, and I was getting dressed by myself, practicing, and I stood up and just went down in a heap. And they told me I couldn't do that, and I said okay, and then they rehabs, and I asked if I could do extra, and they said sure, whatever. And the two girls are really good. And one girl says, well, do you want to go outside and try walking around? And this is like
You were only in the rehab
3
for
weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. And I asked to go home, the doctor, and the doctor said, no, you gotta spend another month here. And I said, okay, and I talked to the nurses, and I pleaded and say, please let me go home. I said, this place is driving me nuts. And I tried extra hard for 2 months, did all I was supposed to do and plus more. And they let me out, and they signed off on me. The doctor found out, and he was a little upset. He says, look, I don't want you to go home. You've got to get more rehabilitation. I said, no, I'll do it when I get home. He says, you got a hospital near home? I said, yes. And he says,
Across
okay.
the ocean.
I didn't tell him
In
that
parentheses.
part. I didn't tell him that part. He more or less thought I was going to a rehab, stay in a place.
Assisted living.
Yeah, assisted living. He says, well, okay, I'll sign off and I can.
Raymond's blood clot deprived blood to the left part of his brain, which affected his right side, including his right arm, leg, and the right side of his face.
So have you had to change your lifestyle, your diet, your...
No. I eat anything I want.
Oh, you did change your lifestyle.
Well, yeah, I don't smoke anymore and I don't drink anymore.
Well,
that would be diet.
And that would be pretty big.
It's frustrating as hell. But I cannot answer how I'm getting along. I don't know, because I'm too close. I don't see much difference, but Pat says I'm getting along pretty good. I mean, it's been 5 months, and I can walk quite a bit without my cane and do shit. I do not have much feeling in my arm. The sand is pretty... But there's like this swelling in my hand. It was all fucked up, awful bad, and it's gone down quite a bit. I've had a lot of trouble with pain, an awful lot of trouble with pain. Gets pretty bad. I guess I'm on pretty heavy dose of pain medication. I've got 2 pills I take that are really knocks it down pretty good. If it gets too bad, I take Vicodin and I switch and match quite a bit. I've cut back quite a bit in the last couple of weeks. If I get more exercise, I hope it'll get better. The pain is moving down into my leg real bad now. But you get used to it. And I guess I could sit around and do nothing. But I try to do as much as possible in a day. I'll walk around without, the cane, water the flowers, do anything to keep myself amused. I smoke pot when I get it. Pot does help. The only thing that really kills a pain is pot. And it does not take very much, just 2 hits.
Well,
I'm good for about 6 hours. I don't know what it does, but I can feel it going through my body. Boy, it starts at my shoulders and it relaxes the muscles. I've thought about going down, and I've got a phone number, and I've got a printout of my disabilities, and taking it down to Scarborough and getting
medicinal card.
Yeah, medicinal card for it. I've had a couple of bad accidents. When I first got home, I thought I'd try to carry in wood. I fell on the stairs, and boy, what a mess I was. Then one time I fell down with Matt. See, walking up the stairs, and she was behind me, didn't do something rather, and I slipped in.
Well, that was when you first came home,
Yeah.
and we were getting used to everything, and I wasn't where I was supposed to be.
And when I went up the harbor here, about 3 weeks ago, I fell down. It's, you really gotta watch your balance. If you forget what you're doing, it will take just a split second, and man you up, and you don't have no control over it. I mean, when you go down, you go down.
And then there are the short-term memory issues.
Yep, and then I don't have much of a memory. Driving around and stuff, I forget. I can't remember anybody's name. And it's funny. It's, mostly just, I consider it current terms. If I had to think back, 6 or 7 months, I remember it pretty good. I can remember what happened.
It's
I
your
can
short-term
remember,
memory
like,
loss?
I can remember our fishing trip with Ryan and that bunch and everything. Catching the fish, shooting the shark, all that. But boy,
And that was just 3
Yeah,
days before the stroke.
yep, and there a couple of days before the stroke, and after that,
But that's normal too, or at least all the doctors have said short-term memory loss is normal.
Raymond was at risk for a stroke for several different reasons. He smoked cigarettes for over 50 years, had an unhealthy diet, and consumed large amounts of alcohol on a fairly regular basis. All of these activities can cause the walls of arteries to thicken, making it harder for blood to pass and form clots. One of the other things that puts him at risk was the localized radiation he got for treatment of larynx cancer 10 years ago. Localized radiation is only now just being connected to stroke.